Exception Blacklisted Podcast.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Be the Exception podcast. We have Dan, Patrick, and I don't know why I just called you Patrick. That was weird. And Griffin with us. They just won the United Grid League championships, and we're going to kind of chat with them about the season a little bit here, and get into just some, I don't know, kind of fun stuff about the championship weekend. So, guys, thanks for coming on and congrats.
Thanks, buddy.
You're pretty excited, huh?
I'm stoked.
I should be on. I mean, it'd be kind of funny if it was off the whole time.
The hell would. It'd be like the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight.
No, man, we're pretty excited.
Yeah.
We're pretty excited. 5 seasons in the making.
Yeah.
It's about fucking time.
Yeah. Because you started coaching. You started coaching in Old Grid, but
2020.
Yeah. Was when the Florida Grid League started, right?
Florida Grid League started in 2016.
Oh, okay.
It started the last year
of Grid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because we were developing and trying to develop like quote unquote feeder programs into the PGL.
Yeah.
So it started in 2016, and then when it all flopped, like it just kept rolling.
Yeah. And then it became the United Grid League in 2020, right? Okay.
No. It became the United Grid League this season. It's been the Florida Grid League since 2016.
Because you guys moved out. Yeah, I guess. So, I guess this gets into like the first thing that we want to talk about was the big changes that you guys had this year to the team.
Fair enough. Yeah. So we branded out nationally.
Yeah.
The Grid League did this year because it was just the Florida Grid League from 2016 to 2023.
Yeah.
And then this year, there are some things that I theorize pushed it to become a national sport again, but I won't disclose them publicly because I don't know if they're 100% accurate.
Okay.
I don't want to get myself in any shit, but it was at a point where it was needed.
Yeah.
For sure. So branding it to the United Grid League, it becoming national, we then went from Gainesville Wild to Atlanta Wild.
Yeah.
From Florida to
right.
Georgia. Which, fun fact real quick, the first year that it becomes a national sport, the first national team wins the first national championship.
Yeah, I was going to make a point of that later on.
Oh, sorry. Well, spoiler alert. My wife told me that, and I got really happy about it.
You didn't realize that, like when it happened?
Not at all. Didn't have a clue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that was the big start. Or that was a big change to the start of the year, and then us moving out from Gainesville to Atlanta just opened up a fucking floodgate of opportunity for like sponsorships and whatnot. But the best opportunity was bringing on Mia and John because I was actually able to coach for a change.
Yeah, because you were for like the last 3 years you were owner, coach, recruiter.
Just last year I was
all
of those. But preceding when I was just assistant coach, it was more all of those roles as well.
Oh, okay.
But the head coach had all the like financial information and business information. Adam Muir is his name, great guy. But he and I weren't the best at that during that time. So hiring 2 of the best Asians on the planet really helped change all of that this year.
Did they tell you that they're thinking of starting a podcast called Tiger Parents or something like that?
No.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know if that's the name, but it's Tiger something, I think.
It's not at all surprising.
Yeah.
I would listen to that every day.
Oh, for sure.
Not the ramen podcast.
Oh shit.
I don't agree or condone this, man.
That's right.
Now, honestly, the Tiger Parents is worse.
Well, even
Yeah.
Arguably, it's worse.
Since
Rising Sun podcast.
Oh my god.
or Moto Dragon.
See, now we're all in trouble, dude.
We're all in trouble now.
They started it.
And they're affiliated with Blacklisted, so it's fine.
Yeah.
We own them. We can say whatever we want.
God.
Okay, so what
Technically, they own
They own
you.
They own
Return, Dan.
Shit.
Okay, so Dan, give like a rough
Shit.
like give people an idea of what they were able to accomplish this year, like versus what
Me and
not to talk shit, but like, but what you were able to accomplish last year. Like,
it's not talking shit. It's been facts. Son.
yeah, I know. I just didn't want to make you feel that bad.
Dude, I've accepted every poor decision I've made. That's why I drove back in pure silence for 5.5 hours coming back from Vegas.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. So you mean like what me and John changed?
Yeah, like all the changes that they made for the team and stuff like that.
Oh man. My perspective on that, and honestly, it might be good to get their perspectives on it too, since they were on the team last year.
Because you basically like
I
took
paid
out
for everything
last year and like took like
except
it
for
was
people who didn't let me pay them back all the way.
it was expensive. To
It
say the
was
least.
expensive.
Yeah.
because you were paying people you shouldn't have been paying fucking money. I'm just saying it straight up.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I made bad choices.
Yeah.
And
So I didn't want you to have to pay for me, even though that was our agreement that we'd find a way to get me down there, so I have to pay. But it's fine.
I know.
I was in here for the investment, and the dub came, so it is what it is.
Well, it
Duh.
sure did. So that was a big one that changed.
Yeah.
Like John and Mia took over I was literally put in Mia's words timeout when it came to finances or any business side. She said, Dan, I'm speaking to you as your boss. We are hiring you to coach.
Mm-hmm.
You have no right to know what's happening with the money stuff. That's not a quote. It's paraphrase. Get the win and do your job because there's no one better out there to be able to get the win as a coach. I didn't believe that at the time. Now I do. And one reason because I was 100% accurate in every single ladder score of all the teams this past weekend. And it also, when we get to the championship, I'll add another one. But I mean, they fixed all my fuck ups.
Yeah. So they basically took everything off the plate that wasn't allowing you to coach, and you got to just focus on coaching.
That was a much better way to say what I just said. Yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
Summarize it. What I guess what changes did you guys see when me and John kind of took over? Did you guys notice anything really, or was it more so on Dan's side?
Yeah, I think it just let you focus on what was important, essentially. Yeah, so I feel like I noticed you were just able to focus on just the grid stuff and not have to worry about the other stuff.
So you notice a change from year to year?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been it since 2021. 2020. So
Pat was at a camp up here,
Mhm.
and he was staying with us for a week, and then it was like, hey, we need another grid player for the As One tournament in December 2020. He goes, okay, I'll stay for another week.
yeah, and just
Stayed with us for 2.5 weeks. Drove down with me, most terrifying experience of your life probably, to Tampa, Florida for the weekend because I was playing Pokemon on my Game Boy while driving.
was RJ there?
Yeah, we picked up RJ from the airport.
That's right.
And drove down.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It was one hell of an experience for Pat.
But yeah, I mean, it's changed every year because there was Adam was a part of it,
Mhm.
and you were the assistant coach, and then the year, I guess last year was your first year as coach.
Yeah,
So really, I feel like it can only really compare last year and this year.
that's fair. Yeah.
Because those other years were different because we didn't have a John or a Mia. It was just you and Adam and
Dez was helping out
Dez.
as much as she could just because she'd married Adam.
right. But this, I feel like it's more professional now than it was before.
'Cause he's doing polos.
It's because of the polos. I was gonna say that. But yeah, it's just more professional. It seems.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it's slowly getting more professional.
yeah.
Like obviously it has a long way to go, but it just
Yeah.
seems like it's slowly getting more.
Where like everybody can just kind of focus in on their job and like what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would strongly agree with that. Not just from my end, but also from like the players' end. I saw a lot of the evolution. I don't know if you guys agree with from the first match to the championship match that everyone started to really understand their jobs and execute them a little better compared to the beginning of the season.
I will say I think the team did develop through the season.
It seemed like you guys grew a little bit more this year than last year
Yeah.
over the course of the season, if that makes sense.
That makes 100% sense because it's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the Aces match at the beginning of the season and the Aces match on the playoffs. Complete, we executed almost perfectly,
right.
and then the first Aces match we completely imploded, fell apart.
Yeah.
Everyone was freaking out.
Right.
Like,
So that was your second match, right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No, Aces was our first match.
Oh yeah,
You mean second match of the season?
Right.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have a lot of thoughts.
Please give them. You're talking to the mic.
Organize them. So first, we're talking from the point of development from last year to this year with Mia and John. Much more organized.
Mm-hmm.
Still a long way to go. I like to see perfection. Granted, you don't get there, but chase it, right? So I think like year one for Dan is kind of thrown into the fire, trying to learn how to do this,
Mm-hmm.
right? I also don't. This is not a knock on coaches and grid at all. I think there's a vast growth opportunity from year to year for each coach to understand how to professionalize their team.
Mm-hmm.
And you should emulate, granted it's different sport, other sports, and take a lot of those ways of how you organize a team.
Yeah.
And they're from when I started doing the grid trials in 2020 to make a bunch of money to go do CrossFit and take everyone's money. Sorry, guys. It helped me compete, but I could see, to be honest, back then, the sport wasn't talented.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there wasn't talent. There obviously are talented athletes. But from there to now, your teams are greatly advanced in where they were. And there's still a long way to go to make it like a real, like, wow, it's NPGL, like, talent level, right? And people have to grow to get there. But it's the same point of what I'm saying is for Dan, like, first year, thrown in the fire, growth rate drastic from last year. Still has a long way to grow still as a coach. Okay. I think so. Organization allowing him to coach made a big difference. That's one big difference right there. Like, so that's one of the biggest thing to at least see. Next becomes just the understanding of allowing not just from that part, but then allowing to divvy out coaching abilities. So like to the point of we talked about the growth of this season, Dan's overseeing everything. Well, I coach almost half the team at this point. And then you have Amanda, right? And like
and Yana.
And then so we talked about like match 1 to the end of the season. My coaching job wasn't to get people ready for the first or second match. My job was to get them ready for the championship match. And as you like see is like, again, that's not all, I'm not saying it's all on me, but as a coaching perspective, the difference is like, I didn't coach. I was just a guy last year. I only had one role, was to just, I also said to the first call, I was like, I'm just a guy and I'm here to win. Remember that on the call?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And this year was like that, but also take on the role of helping others become like what they needed. Dan needed them to be at the end of the year. Like we talked about at the beginning of the year. Where do people need to be? What do they need to be able to do? And how do we get them there? And yeah, so that's year 1 to year 2. If you can improve on top of that, year 3 is dangerous. Year 4 is like, good luck, people.
Yeah.
Right. So all teams are going to have to level up to that as well. And Taylor has done the same thing with her team.
Yeah. Yeah, she has.
Like again, they weren't very good at the beginning of the year. That playoff match with them was the championship. They were fucking good.
Dude, they were really good.
They were good, right?
Very, very good.
But she develops them the same way. Granted, she was the coach and the player.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's tough.
She coached a lot of her people, like a lot of the Aces team, minus like DeMatty and Hollings and a couple others. Like that's the original Aces from 2020.
Yeah. Developed them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like just getting like into some of the more details. John is a part of the Atlanta Vibe, and they are they're now a professional volleyball league that John became a startup with, and so he kind of has a background for setting up team structure and stuff like that. And so bringing him on allows him to start kind of plugging in the roles that are needed. Like you guys got a social media manager, which helps with advertising and getting sponsorships. Like everything's just kind of like setting itself up for long-term success now. And then kind of Griff, to your point, is like Dan's, like if you look at any other professional sports organization, even collegiate, they've got like a head coach who's overseeing everything, making decisions, etc. And then they have a bunch of specialty coaches, which is essentially like you're a player coach, right? Back in the 70s in the NBA, same thing. But like it allows the head coach to focus on the matches, find the data, et cetera, and then people on the team who are more professionalized coaches or affiliated with a coaching organization can then handle the detailed stuff that the head coach might not be able to or might not have the capacity to handle.
Right. I mean, to that point of like growth from year 1 to year 2, Dan has a vision. Well, John and Mia have a vision. They understand what they need this team to be and what
Totally.
it needs to look like, right? So this is year 1 for them. Let's see what it looks like year 2. And they can't just throw everything together at one time in 1 year. That's not how it works. You have a plan and you have to build upon that. And I know they already have that plan. So the growth for that side of it as a professional team, should be a big leap forward for next season.
For sure. Does anyone else that you know of have the same structure that you guys had this year?
I think the Sharks were close.
And they were the other team in the championship. So
I honestly, my perspective was the Sharks, but there was just so Fico and Concepcion, they were also both coaches. So like John and I were coaches, but John focused. He can correct me next time I see him if I'm wrong. He focused more on the business side with me. But he was fucking phenomenal to have back there behind the start line.
Yeah.
To help with the assistant stuff. Fico and Concepcion worked together on both.
Okay.
And I feel like that's the
it's similar to the Aces then, I would imagine, with Taylor.
I don't know. Because with Taylor being a player and a coach, Terry being an owner and a businessman, I believe. And then I don't know the name of it. They've had another coach, tall lady with dreadlocks. I never knew her name. I don't know what she does other than like she's just the assistant as well, or a rah girl. And I feel bad saying that.
Maybe
don't know.
she's gonna be the coach for next year.
It's a possibility,
and she
right?
was just learning how to do that. I don't know.
Well, she's been there since 2020.
Yeah,
I follow.
4 years of 4 years of yeah.
So like I don't know. In my opinion, the structure that we had this year, John and Mia perfected it.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are setting the tone for what teams should be.
Honestly, this is going to sound super conceited. I feel like that tone started getting set last year because athletes talk.
Yeah.
And I don't mean from the structure standpoint. I mean from the standpoint of like, hey, the coach found a way.
The expectations of the athletes from the team.
You're developing the culture, but a business culture and a team culture right at the same time.
Yeah. So like last year, I financially covered 99% everything. I was not very popular because of that for this season, and now other teams figured out how to do it after they got mad at me for doing it. Now I don't know if that played that big of a role.
It does,
right? But like it's a possibility.
Yeah,
I mean, I would argue that like that's why a handful of people came. From other teams to us.
That's why. It's a big reason.
But the fact that they were able to stay when I couldn't do that this year, and the effort they put in to get money from the sponsorship side of things, in my opinion, was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Like they saw that it was going to work.
Yeah.
Even with all the roller coaster events that happened this season.
Right.
Not just on our end, but on the league side.
Yeah.
Your question was, does any other team have that structure? I already answered it, didn't I?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
they don't.
And I think
they don't have that full extent yet. But again, someone has to set an example, and I think people have tried different ways, and I still think the sport is young because it's redeveloping, it's regrowing, right? So, again, I think when you have coach, owner, player, like you can, but you can't. You've got to have an entire other subset of people to help you do that, and that's how you can kind of morph into where you need to get to. So those teams still have that situation going on, and ultimately, like, in order to be the best, again, like we've talked about, like you have to either be a coach, be a player, be an owner, be like you have to give your best to one thing. When you're spread thin, it's hard, right? And obviously that's what you have to do at some point, but then you need to grow past that. So the structure, I mean, you need to have a coach that's dedicated to coaching. You have to have owner. You have to have someone that does the media / like business side of things and be able to focus on what your job is. Just like we talked all weekend was like, just execute your job. If everyone does their job, you win. That's it. It's that simple.
That's how you be the very best that no one ever was.
Oh my God.
You knew it was going there.
No.
You knew it was going there.
Didn't need
But
to.
it's just support system.
Yeah.
Same thing like if you're an individual, you need to go to CrossFit games. You need to have, for the majority of people, they need to have like a good support system.
Right.
Coach, you need
So-
training and physical therapist. You have to have the pieces.
Right.
Yep.
So it's just creating a good support system.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess
Shout out to my wife.
maybe
Honestly.
yeah, for real.
The minutes came in handy.
So getting into kind of, I wanted to jump to the Vegas match because I think that was some of the biggest adversity you guys had faced this season. Run us through just exactly what all, like the hurricane was based, like it's the Florida Grid League. The hurricane was shutting down flights like crazy. People couldn't get out there. So like run us through like what that weekend was supposed to be, because it was supposed to be the doubleheader weekend, right? And what ended up happening instead.
So with Helene and Milton coming through, because this is the first year that Florida Grid League became the United Grid League, the vast majority of players are still in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And the vast majority of refs are still in Florida, and they're all
And the
within that
equipment.
lake. Yeah, and the equipment too. But thankfully the equipment was going out between Helene and Milton, so it was already out there.
Mm-hmm.
But with that happening, flights getting shut down and shit, and then players like Ariana and Casey and a few other like not first responders, but like Casey in the Coast Guard, Ariana being a dead person investigator, and
Did you say it like?
well, I don't remember her exact title, but the consensus was the teams that could get the majority of their athletes out there, which was us, Sharks, Breakers, and Venom. And Palms. Us, Sharks, Breakers, Venoms, Palms. Yes. We would play a match. We would have a primary and a secondary.
Okay.
Primary matches were worth double the points. So if we won by 5, then we would get 10 points added to our season total.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because the other teams, the Brigade, the Aces, and the Lions, they barely got anybody out there. So they created that super team, which wasn't a favorite amongst everyone. But in a situation like this, like, what's the right answer, right? Is this a fuckload of possibilities of this being right, that being right, la, 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 la. But ultimately, my opinion, what they decided with was not a bad thing. Because we, as the grid community, honestly made it look a hell of a lot better than it could have. So the doubleheader structure was going to...
Sorry, that's a coffee maker.
Oh.
Forgot to shut that off.
Kill it.
The doubleheader structure was supposed to be a Friday, Saturday match. Like,
yeah.
We play match 1, we play match 2. The first match, we went head-to-head with the Breakers, both of us for double the points on Friday. Saturday, we went head-to-head with the super team. For them, the super team would get 1 point if they won across all 3 teams. So the Brigade +1, the Lions +1, Aces +1 if they won, or they would get 0 if they lost, and we would just get regular. We would not lose any points or gain. If we won, we would get one additional point.
So it was a 1 point match, basically.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
It was an exhibition in a sense. I'm going to talk shit here. I personally believe if we had everybody there on our team, we would not have lost to the super team.
Yeah, if we had everybody, but we didn't.
I know. But so during the time in Vegas, some of the players and myself across all the teams, the coaches and players, we helped with the equipment, the reffing, and some of the other shit that goes into it. Really, that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the major change, but I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on like the big pieces of adversity associated with that Vegas trip, other than like the obvious of the hurricane and like the value of going out there and so on and so forth? Like, I'm more curious about your guys' perspective because you guys were a hell of a lot more upset than myself.
Yeah, I think maybe just talk about like what the mood was going into the weekend.
It wasn't good. Lots of crying. Too much.
Not from me.
Not from you, no. No, there was a lot of fucking crying.
I think people were just over the constant last minute changes and consistency, because like even without the hurricane and stuff, like there had always been last minute changes, whether it's rule changes, whatever. So it's like, here we go.
Theme for sure this year.
Right. Yeah.
There was a lot of chaos this year.
Yeah. And that was kind of like the pinnacle of it, right? Was Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really think championship. I don't think there was really any crazy stuff that happened other than that triad rerun for the with the
So
judging.
so basically you guys were like the pinnacle was facing the adversity of change in Vegas, right? And it's like, how did you guys, obviously, like, change is always challenging, and like you're gonna have, it's gonna be difficult to face that, and different emotions are gonna come out from that. But like, how did you guys from start of the weekend to end of the weekend overcome that and face that challenge?
I'd like your guys' perspective on that.
Show up and do my fucking job, dude.
Yeah.
That's it. Like at the end of the day, like I can be mad about shit all I fucking want, but it doesn't change the reality of what there is. And once it's time to go, you already know, like, bye, you guys are about to get smoked. Like, that's just how it is. I mean, I was frustrated. I was very frustrated. But the only thing there was only one time, and I felt the need to show my frustration. Typically, I'm the coolest, calmest person on the team. At one point, when we played the Aces early on in the year, when shit was going really bad, and I should have been losing my shit, I was extremely calm. And Ariana's like, she looked at me in the middle of the race and goes, "I really appreciate how calm you are." I was like, when I'm calm, though, when I'm that calm,
It's a problem.
it's the opposite. I am seething, right? So during Vegas, everyone was upset. Everyone was very upset. And again, I'm normally calm, but I felt the need to show, like, that I cared about our team, and I'm willing to stand up for our team. And I was prepared to fucking lose my shit. And I warned everybody.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Everyone. Luckily, it was a solved problem before we got there. But I'm prepared to go to bat for my team. Like, that's just what it is. And
Which problem was it again?
that doesn't need to be aired.
All right, that's fine then.
It was just a problem with what was going on in the league for something that was gonna fuck us again.
Oh, yeah.
And then already we were getting, like, I felt like we were getting screwed anyway.
Yeah, that is something that maybe we could mention. Is like it like, obviously we're a little bit biased, but it did seem like from a lot of your matches, you guys were getting the short end of the stick on a lot of the
There's
judging.
a lot of stuff, and again, like, that happens. It's part of sport.
Right.
Yeah.
Comes back the other way eventually. Just happened. You guys.
There's a ratio of, like, if you look at it, we're in Vegas. It's the odds. The odds were way too far against us. It shouldn't have happened that much, right? Like, in sport, it shouldn't happen that much. And there's a point of break. And I was at that point. Again, you want to professionalize things, it should be professional. And it became where it wasn't. And I know there's a lot of chaos that weekend. I get that. You make the best of it. There's a way to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And when things become unfair, because it almost, like, the end of the day was actually more fair for us, and that part bothered me too.
Yeah.
The point situation, like,
Yep.
yeah, we didn't have everybody, but, like, we knew at the end of the day we're gonna do well. We're gonna get the points. We'll probably end up being in the playoffs because of this. But I personally didn't like that it didn't make it fair across the board. And so, like, that's playing devil's advocate for everybody else, right? Like, but for us as a team, there was some stuff that really made me very angry. And I said my piece, and then I left it, and then I did my fucking job. But I also told everybody, like, at the end of the weekend, like, look, you guys proved that you can come out here and overcome shit, and, like, everyone needs to lock the fuck in for a month, 5 weeks to 6 weeks. Lock in. We can go win this thing. And there's a big change of people's mentalities from that weekend.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
A lot more people were like, we can do this.
Yeah.
Forget the adversity. It doesn't matter. Just do your fucking job and we'll win this thing.
Are you talking about after Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I lost my shit in Vegas.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for you. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I went off, dude. Tom came up to me.
Did you get no rep on ring touches?
No, he ran my direction.
Oh,
so, like,
because the old race was you go back and touch.
It was
right?
a ringer point. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, and it's usually only in a sprint relay, and then you do the full ring touch. But, like,
Okay.
with the herpy ring touch, you run off the floor.
Oh, okay.
but it's also in the third quadrant, and I thought, to me, it made sense because the Burpee ring touch was new this season, and the back handspring was new this season, which are both sprint relay movements and also are both third quadrant movements.
In the back handspring, you do run and touch.
And you run and touch and go through.
Okay.
So I figured and assumed it was the same, and we had been harping on that with the like the whole point of contention with the back handspring was people not coming back and touching correctly or whatever. So in my head the whole time I was like, run my ass back and touch.
Yeah. Okay.
And then go, not realizing it was just a boop and then run over one quadrant, which it seemed like it made sense for the ring touches to have to go all the way to me. It just made sense to me.
Yeah.
And like I wanted to win that so bad.
I know you did.
Because I just wanted to ring. I wanted to win one ringer for a season, and then I just I beat him.
Yeah.
I had it, and then like that one thing just
It's okay.
fucked it up, and then
It happens.
Bro, it's funny.
I destroyed everything in the
You gotta
water.
go. Like if you go find the live stream, you can be watching it, and like behind the curtain where the warm up area is, you just see poofs of like chalk smoke
Yeah,
because he just fucking launched buckets.
There's so many buckets back there with clips and stuff, and I was just kicking. I kicked every single bucket. I kicked the chalk bucket over the thing. I don't know. I couldn't. I cleaned everything. I cleaned myself up after myself. I didn't really break anything, but I could not find that chalk bucket. I had no idea where it was.
Somebody yanked.
Someone took it.
Somebody took it.
No idea where it went. Yeah, but yeah, that's the most angry I've ever been. I've never done that.
I
Yeah.
didn't even talk to him. I just let him. Like I already knew he was trying to go back there. I was like, don't.
Nah, don't.
Just let
No.
Maybe Amanda be the only person.
Well, Amanda peeked back there and Blake peeked back there at the same time as I kicked the chalk bucket. And because Blake was like, I'm going to talk to him. Amanda was like, no, don't. And then he peeks back, sees me kick the bucket, and he goes, oh, wait. And then, yeah, and then.
So funny because you came over to me later after the match and was like, dude, luckily like there was nobody back there, and I was like,
There was a reason for that.
they were back there and they all left as it was happening.
Yeah, everyone evacuated.
It's like, what? I was like, they all saw you blasting shit and just walked out.
And it's funny because it was like all like team players who were volunteers because there weren't any of the regular volunteers.
Okay.
People were like, all right, bye.
Bye.
Sometimes it just be that way.
But I rallied and I crushed the ladder after
Yeah,
that.
you fucking did, bro.
So I used that to do
Yeah.
that.
So a lot of it was just kind of like you guys went through the weekend, focused on doing your job, and then at the end of the weekend, you're like, "Yo, I did coming that close to beating the super team help out and like really give you guys some perspective on like, hey, we can actually do this." Or
Not for
Nah,
me.
I
But
think we
for
thought that
some.
we
I think
were-
for some. No, I think for some people.
Really?
And by think I know. I know for some people they needed to see that.
yeah,
That's fair.
I don't need to see that.
I know you don't.
Right, but like other people do. And
Yeah.
again, it's a team thing. It's not about me. Like I think not really for Pat, but I think it helped Pat see that
Yeah.
other people can stay up.
Yeah.
Like they can step up to what they need to do,
Yeah.
and then we can go in. Because like for him, he's frustrated. He sees the same thing every year and fucking shit fall apart. But the difference is like, yeah, it might a little bit, but like I'll tell you what, the biggest turnaround for me, like I think the only point where I was like I felt more confident was Sydney.
yeah,
Sydney,
Yeah. Dude, yeah.
Sydney has struggled to change more than anybody, and she'll tell you that. And I don't know what the fuck she got something, but this bitch showed
She did.
up, and like I was
She did.
like, who the fuck is this?
You're talking about championship weekend, right?
No,
or
Vegas.
Vegas weekend.
No,
Vegas
Vegas,
weekend.
yeah, 'cause
Okay, okay.
She was going through a lot preceding Vegas.
She was
Okay.
popping, boy, and I was like, damn, if she locks in like this,
Yeah.
it is over.
Okay.
We don't have to. We don't. No, it's just over. It's
Yeah.
just over.
Yeah.
If she locks in, she's the final piece to the girls to settle what we needed to settle.
Yeah.
And she did. And then she was good all weekend, except she did have one mess up that was kind of big, but it was fine. We overcame it.
When was that? I don't
Ring
know.
muscle ups against the Aces.
Oh yeah, but that yeah.
Right. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But she did a much watching it. She did a much better job of flagging Carrie down and like getting her to
right.
do
No,
the
she
muscle ups.
communicated
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
She communicated really,
There
really
was
well.
one mess up doesn't mean it was
Yep.
bad. She
Yep.
adjusted. There are things like because again, it's a thing of like when teams go undefeated in sports, you don't find out the things that you need to adjust to when
Mhm.
adversity hits sometimes, and like those happened early on in the year. She had
2000.
the opportunity and got better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Yes,
like,
she
it's-
did.
Sometimes like a loss is not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right, and that allows you to adjust and get better from it.
Yeah. And on top of that, the other person I think who even proved arguably more was Tristan.
Dude.
Tristan stepped up.
Well, I think physically.
Yeah, in the biggest way he stepped up. He was clean on everything.
Just being consistent.
He took over all my shit
Yeah.
'Cause I couldn't-
championship
This is
weekend.
championship
weekend.
now,
He
yeah,
took
right.
over all my
Vegas,
shit.
He wasn't there.
Right.
Because I couldn't play that last match.
Yeah. You were like
Dude,
Golden
I
Republic
was
shooting
spinning
stars.
for like 3 hours. I could not. I had like full body chills, so I was like wearing on the sidelines. I was wearing like a sweater, pants. Like
Wow.
I had 3 layers on, up top, 2 layers up on bottom, and I was
pretty
like,
nuts.
Yeah.
After your burpee ring touch, you were legit.
dude, I was like,
squiggling.
Yeah.
and then David was like, you couldn't run, dude. Like, what the hell? Like, I don't know. I fucking had nothing. But yeah, Tristan did all my shit, and Blake picked up my shit. Like, everyone just kind of like,
Yeah, in Vegas.
everyone
too.
actually stepped up and did.
Mhm.
RJ stepped up.
Yeah, that
Like,
was
everyone stepped up.
I want to circle it back to Vegas real quick on that note, because the pistol deadlift, like Blake's never ever been in quadrant 1, ever,
Yeah.
at least that I recall, and he's like yourself, he's got a bummed ass knee, and he's like 56. So he's gonna kill me when he sees this.
He won't watch this.
But like him stepping up to do that to me was a pretty big deal. So we could leave you for 3 and 4 in that Vegas. So like, and that was against the super team too.
Mhm.
I think had there been no faults on Vilma or him on that, we would have beat super team on that partner.
Think, bro, we would have slapped them.
Did I say think?
Yeah.
I meant to say I know. My bad.
At this point, again, I literally say this every single time. If you give us just enough,
No, you and Amanda are gonna
just
run 'em down.
enough time to catch some people, we're gonna get them every fucking time.
I
Boy.
mean, it was pretty well proven. this
Yeah,
past
yeah.
Boy,
But yeah,
and
let's.
honestly, like
What else do you
the
want to know about
pistols,
Vegas?
yeah,
I think I
jump over one. Fucking,
Yeah, I think Vegas really just kind of set you guys up for success going into the championship weekend. I think it showed you guys that I think that coming that close to beating the super team really helped you guys see that you were capable of it. For some of the more inexperienced athletes on the grid team, and you guys came in just fucking dialed and ready to go into the championship weekend.
We also encountered Tyler tearing his lat.
Yes, yeah,
And warming up for the back uprise, I believe. Yeah, in that Jack and Jill.
yeah. That's in Vegas, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're still in
Yeah.
Vegas. Yeah, he tore his lat. I honestly don't think that we would have lost the. I know we wouldn't have lost the men's triad if Tyler didn't tear his lat.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think culminating, like, you guys progressed well throughout the course of the season, and I think all the adversity that you guys had to face in Vegas and like some of the other kind of judging earlier in the season allowed you guys to just come in with and then be that close to beating that super team
Yeah.
at the final match in Vegas. I think it just opened tons of people's eyes on the team to the fact that like this is a reality and this is a possibility, and like and like you said at the end of if we just dial in for 6 weeks, we can go and do this thing. And I think everybody did that.
Almost
and,
everybody did.
Yeah. And went in and you guys just fucking cleaned house this this last weekend. I mean, what was it? You guys won 3 straight matches to start off both 4 straight? Was it 4
I think
straight?
it was 5.
What do you mean?
So you guys played
Oh,
2 races
sorry.
on
Yeah.
Sunday.
So
And you guys won, was it 4 straight or 5 straight on
Um,
each match?
So we won. Yeah, we were against the Aces. We won the first 4. The partner forward, Mir, Echo. Tom's Echo was fucking amazing.
That was so
The
sweet.
ladder and then
And only 2 we lost
those
in the
4
championship was
female triad
the
and
female triad and the Jack and Jill we conceded, which
Yeah.
y'all are lucky that this big ass dude didn't have to go out there and do backwards roll to supports because I could have done it.
Which I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
But we didn't have to.
Sharks, we won
7 in a row.
7.
It was 7 straight.
7 straight.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome.
all of them up until the Jack and
Jack
Jill,
and
right?
Jill.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Which
was
we needed to do that.
yeah.
pretty dominant.
It was watching you guys against the Aces. You look like a completely your execution was so much better. And that's I'm not super involved in grid, but I understand the concept of executing because in team CrossFit, if you weren't executing perfectly, you lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Straight up. So
Oh yeah.
watching you guys from the beginning of the season till then, it was such a breath of like fresh air watching you guys just go out and do your
You can
job.
see it from the partner forward at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Make very minimal mistakes, keep it close, man, and I finish.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when that
And this was-
happens and you win, that's against the Aces.
Ye-
For like right
yeah.
off the bat, like the
Yeah.
first race, and you're like, oh shit.
Do you want to talk about like the matches in succession? Through it all?
No, I think we just kind of give like a little bit of a rundown and just chat
Yeah.
a little bit about it. But yeah, it went Aces, then Sharks,
Yeah.
semifinals, then finals. Yeah.
We're the first team ever in grid history to be 2-2 and win
Oh, 2-2, like
going into the playoffs.
going into the playoffs. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of a fake 2-2.
I understand. I'm just
Because one of them was the super team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It is a fake 2-2, but it would have. I'm gonna keep it. As
Yeah,
a 2-2 because like
It's still like
there were so many firsts for that we did that cannot be taken away from us from
Yeah.
a theoretical and as is standpoint.
Are you guys getting banners for this shit?
That's a Mia and John question.
No.
That's a United Grid League
We
question.
They just give us a check. They don't have money for that.
I already started looking it up. We need the NWO belt, a legitimate belt with New Wild Order on it. That's our trophy. I should give out fucking championship belts.
I don't disagree.
I do think though a part of like
Olipop.
why we did better was not because like everyone was more. I think everyone was kind of over being screwed over having
Yeah.
like we were over like
You
the
came in with
the
like
no reps whatever, and people were like, I'm fucking over this. I'm just gonna fucking do this like right, like where no one was like, oh, gotta win, like gotta go as hard and fast as
Right.
I can, gotta rush, gotta try to win the championship.
Yeah.
People are like, fuck it, like I'm making this as clean as I fucking can.
Yeah.
And just making sure everything, like all the communication was clear
You-
because of it. Like,
You guys were like an old saying, and an old saying is "smooth is fast, fast is smooth," and
Yeah.
like you could see that taking place in I can't remember which match it was. I think it
Probably
had.
the Echo. It's probably against the Sharks.
I think so. It was basically
'Cause
like
we won by like a full.
yeah,
fucking
it
quadrant
it was
belt.
something that wasn't like it didn't really fucking matter, and you guys were just like out there doing it, and you guys were keeping pace, and I think you guys ended up winning them, right? Or
We won both Echoes by
yeah,
a lot.
and it was like you could tell that the stress was gone. Like looking at people's bodies, like the stress was gone, and you guys were fucking destroying
yeah,
them.
everything was just deliberate.
Yes,
And
yeah,
they were trying to win a championship because they had been undefeated. And I think going into a championship undefeated is a curse.
yeah,
Because
Yeah,
we had been
yep.
undefeated
3 seasons in a row. and we
3
lost.
seasons in a row going to championships,
yeah,
thinking we had it in the bag and still we're just going to play as hard as we can and then lose and be like, what the hell? We went 4-1.
yeah.
And then we blamed it on the reffing.
And
every
we
time.
and then we blamed it on whatever. But I think being undefeated is a curse.
Yeah.
I will say this. I think my sense of feeling in the championship match was the first match I've ever felt. I did a lot. I absolutely did a lot. But that was the first time I felt like I didn't have to find a way to like win it for us. I felt like everyone just did their shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally allowed me to like actually relax.
Mhm.
I sat in the back. I got to relax and like go do my shit, execute my shit, and
I saw you. You just come back, sit on the sled, and you were just kind of like
relax. It was great.
sitting there zoning out,
Yeah.
not paying attention to what everyone else's job because you knew everyone was going to do their shit.
All year long, I'm there. I'm like trying to talk to individual people to like help them execute things, and like that was the first time I felt like people were truly like they're gonna do their shit, and I get to relax.
That was the most relaxed I've seen you all season. The past 2 seasons, probably.
Also, this like double matches, probably the most volume I've done in a day on grid, and like the least beat up I've ever been.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most volume we've done on the grid floor in a doubleheader.
It's true.
Last
true.
year.
It's not. You're right. Last year I was in everything but like the female triad.
Yeah, because you had to do the butterfly ring muscle ups and the echoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do want to add some context, if I may.
Yeah.
You guys want to say?
Hit it.
TT. So,
Oh, we're not pausing it.
No.
Go. The context I want to put in here is with John and Mia allowing me to coach.
Yeah.
I set up, and I input some perspective in here if you want. The best coaching I've ever done in this sport was from between my drive home from Vegas to the end of the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm I'm putting a great emphasis on always create 3 tentative lineups: tentative A, tentative A, tentative C,
Mm-hmm.
A, B, C. This time I didn't know who we were playing,
Mm-hmm.
so at the start on my drive home from Vegas, not texting and driving, I put the lineup out
Okay.
for everyone to see. Like, and when I say lineup, I mean I put out a lineup for it was with the rule book, but injury assumed, correct? Yeah, like including ailments and close races.
Mm-hmm.
B lineup was not including ailments
Mm-hmm.
and having close races. The C lineup was a complete blowout
Mm-hmm.
by us. And then after that point, so everyone had what they would theoretically be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone knew what the lineup would be, and also followed the rule book, so they knew that there would be very minimal changes.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just solely for the playoff match.
Mm-hmm.
From that point, and this cut a little too close to the wire, in my opinion. I should have done a better job of this, but I created a lineup against each possible team,
Mm-hmm.
and then then showcased, like, okay, very minimal changes, but here they are. Your jobs are still this. And I think my perspective was everyone seeing that their jobs didn't change very much from the tentative A, B, and C was very helpful. What do you think?
I mean, do you care if I comment on that? Because,
Go
like,
ahead.
outside looking in, I actually thought that earlier this year, you were relying way too much on the data, and it was too chaotic, and it wasn't allowing people to focus in on what their job was. Like, coaching Yana, she was asking to, like, get grid stuff put into her design. I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? She's like, well, I don't know yet. It's like, well, the match is like 3 weeks out. What do you mean you don't know yet? And some of that might be on Yana. I don't know. So it just seemed like there was a lot of, like, kind of unknowns going into a lot of the matches. And I think you pulling yourself away from the data and just giving people what it was they're supposed to do. It allowed them the 6 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever, to focus in and dial in and, like, just visualize what they were going out to the floor to do.
I would agree fully with that, because putting together the lineup for the playoffs, like the tentative A, B, and C, that was hard for me to pull away from the data side of things.
Right.
I
Actually, I think one thing that led me to think this was when we were talking about Amanda going out and doing the burpees that one day, and you're like, look at the data, she wouldn't have won. I'm like, look, I guarantee you she can do burpees faster than the data that you're pulling from. And I think that was kind of like an eye opener to it. And then,
she's gonna kill me that you just said that.
Well,
fuck.
Yeah. Well, we had a conversation in Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
And
I heard that.
We had a team conversation, but we also had a one-on-one conversation. And I was like, Dan, if you just forget this shit, put who the fuck you want. Who do you want doing stuff? Because you already know. You don't need, like, the data. I get it. There's one side of that. The other side of coaching is just knowing what athlete is going to execute those things and win. And I was like, just put those out first. Put that down and then play from there. And once you do that, everyone's going to start executing shit.
Yeah. And I honestly think it helped you coach better too. Because, like, your coaching at the championship was by far the best I've seen you do. Like, to walk off the floor in that, was it Jack and Jill? Was that the one that you did? Or, yeah, to walk off the floor, like, that was fucking so funny.
Why?
Oh, because it was just a big fuck you. Like, we don't need to do this.
It seemed
It was such a big fuck you. Yeah, it was so great.
Not in a bad way. It was just like
It was a comp. Like, we're so dominant right now that we don't even need to watch you guys finish this race. It was, and that is demoralizing to another team.
Oh, shit.
So
I just needed to hear.
And they put their fucking flag on it.
Well,
and we were still like, all right,
all right, yeah,
enjoy.
Right. So, like, that like, one, to come out and win the comeback on that first race and set the tone with Griffin and Amanda. Like, you could see it was already that already demoralized them a little bit. And then when you won, what was it, 7 in a row, and then walked off for that Jack and Jill, that was that was such a big
shit.
We don't give a fuck what you guys do. No, it was perfect, Dan. Like, it was perfect. Like, I wouldn't retroactively go back and pull any negatives out of this event, honestly. Like, it's not that you, like, coached perfectly, but it was one of the best coaching jobs I've ever seen, from both setting people up for success and then playing the mind games with the other team. if that makes sense.
It makes sense. I didn't realize I was doing that.
Good. Sometimes you don't need to.
That's why I told you I don't want anyone to know about what we're doing and not running that race because we didn't just walk off.
Yeah.
Reset. But also the other thing I kept saying the whole match was that after about every 3 races, because our team likes to get too happy, like the moment Blake did the whole like snatch thing with his foot and like I pull Blake, I need you to lock in too. We are not even close to done, and people are gonna look at you playing around. Dude, I got it. We are better than them. But also do that when we have it in the bag.
Yeah,
Dude, you can when we are done.
When you are crossing the line to win the match,
Yes.
that's when you do that
Right.
shit.
Yeah.
Wait, because
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, don't stop the energy. Like, keep bringing that. But people also are looking at you on this team, and if you start letting your guard down, they're gonna let it down.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're right. Like, let's fucking get this
you
shit.
two did such a fucking good job with that shit this year.
I just let him run, and then when I
Yeah.
know I needed to talk to him,
Yeah.
I went and talked to him, and
Yeah.
because people love that energy that he brings
Yep.
too, and
Yep.
I'm not gonna tell him to stop doing that. That is needed.
Mhm.
I don't want to do that. Like I don't feel the need to do that. If that comes out for me, everyone's in fucking trouble, right? Like
Yeah.
keep that rolling. It was a good balance, but like it was the whole time. Like with Dan is the same thing as like, hey, like it was a perfect opportunity to bring everybody back. This was one of 3 times we stopped to reset our minds and re-lock in and go like, hey, look, we're going to concede this. We just need to win one. Just lock the fuck in, do your job, and it's over. And we did that multiple times in that match to go in the back, reset, and talk about, hey, lock into your next thing we got to do. Right?
Dude, it was so like every coach, we do the hypothetical, theoretical. What's the score is going to be after each race? Is that and the other, right? I did not have us winning all 7, like straight.
Yeah.
But I did have us going into gridlock with the Sharks, which
Well, it's because Tristan clutched.
exactly
Right.
that's the big one. Had Tristan not won, we would have gone into gridlock.
Right.
But actually, I'm going to redact that because I don't think we would have lost the sprint relay.
Yeah. Well,
I really don't.
And
no, everyone obviously chilled.
and
Yeah,
I think that goes into like you tend to coach off of the data, and
Yeah.
people can rise to the occasion, and when you give them jobs, like they'll rise to the occasion with that job.
And I maybe your guys' perspective on this. I didn't reference the data as much as I normally do leading into
Because that's not what a coach
championship.
needs to once it's time to
well,
coach, right?
I mean comparatively to like previous matches.
No, right.
Right.
I'm asking you like
No, right. You didn't because you more coaching. There's a time. There's data is your preseason set. This is how we're going to do things. Yeah, you can refer back to it throughout the season to adjust. But at the end of the day, it comes down to now like intuition of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You got to just know how to coach athletes and know your athletes.
Yeah.
and know
Yeah.
who's going to do it. Right.
Yeah. That was the championship was awesome. We have about 10 minutes here, and I just kind of wanted to chat a little bit more about about all the athletes that we do coach in grid. We have tons of players on the Wild, and then we have 2 on the Palms. And like,
is Gabriel not a part?
well, yeah, he actually follows our gym programming.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
out
'cause
in
he
Incendia.
is-
Yeah,
he was on the Palms.
Right,
Officially
and-
signed with the Palms at Vegas. So
yeah,
He
yeah.
would have been out there. He just couldn't make it.
Yeah. So like not only like I think to toot our own horn is we're just very good at our jobs, and whatever circumstance arises for people, we're able to write for them and help them out.
Yeah.
Like
Results don't lie.
right, like we obviously have good CrossFitters. We have really fucking good grid athletes. We have an endurance athlete. Like I just had an athlete finish 15th in the world on a Decker race this last weekend
Oh,
with
fuck
an
yeah,
8th.
dude.
Yeah. So I think I think maybe just chat a little bit about kind of like some of the things you were doing with some of the grid athletes this year, Griff, or
Yeah, I mean, I do have. Well, like, yeah, they're all most of them. I mean, they're all different. They all
Right.
have different jobs and different roles.
maybe chat about why that's important, because I think people latch like right now, and I think a lot of the time people just latch on to like I'm going to go do a program or
Right.
I'm going to do one thing, and maybe talk a little bit more about why the individual programming's
Yeah,
important, and then you're writing for the group program right now,
Right.
And so like why the group program's working so well for some of the grid athletes as well.
yeah. So yeah, like I guess I can start from like what like the perspective of our general program that people follow it into the individual, and like one, like when I'm writing that, I'm not just writing willy-nilly bullshit, right?
Mhm.
I'm progressing something for the typical athlete that I know in CrossFit that needs to get better at things.
Mhm.
And so then because I have that athlete in mind, most people fall into that category and they're going to continue to improve on that. And again, most people in grid do CrossFit and you get good at CrossFit. And then you get good at CrossFit, you're probably pretty decent at grid. Now, that doesn't mean you're specialized and the best at it, but you can probably be pretty good, right? To go from that to the individual side is like, okay, well, all right, now you might be fit and you're good at some things, but like, how do we specialize what you need to be great at now? So, but we needed to get really good at double touches or triple touches or back handsprings, or they just needed to get way stronger because they're more of a strength role, even if they're a utility player. Like, it became of just looking at, like, when I got to look at what our team was lacking and where they needed to be by the end of the year, I really harped on certain things. Our ladder scores were disgusting.
Oh yeah, there was not a
We-
team that touched you guys on the barbell.
Other than the first week,
Yeah.
because we didn't have Blake, Griffin, or Matt,
right.
or D. We shattered
Yeah.
the records.
Yeah.
on
For
the
instance,
ladder
this mother,
boards. Yeah.
dude,
8 ladders.
he hated ladders. He
Oh,
only
before,
clapped-
yeah.
just clapping ladders.
I wasn't clearing any ladder besides the snatch, hang snatch. Really,
and now it's just whatever.
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what the ladder is.
I couldn't even clear the push press ladder. That's 265.
No, it's not. It was 300.
Or the thruster ladder.
Yeah.
I couldn't clear the push press either, but now I can.
Now you can't. Like,
Yeah.
it was just building and developing them by the end of the year, where you have to be the best. It's again, sports, build and develop a team over the season, right? And also the athletes I got were right before the season, so
Yeah.
I needed time to develop them where they needed to be.
Yeah.
But like one big part of it was like, we knew we had to win ladders, we had to win mirrors. Those are two big pieces of our team dynamic that had to be won. The other side of it is now like developing and working on the skills of other things that we know we needed certain pieces, certain chess pieces to be really good at something, to work on that. And it took time. It took 3 months. They were ready. Right. So it's just looking at like what your category of athletes are. Look at what races you know you're going to win. Which ones do you need to get better at? Here's our holes. Let's build those up, and here we go. Then now you got to execute on the dot, right? So, I mean, I'm not going to tell people how I'm doing that, but like, you look at the athlete, you look at where they need to be for the team, and you develop them towards that side of the team. It's not an individual sport. It's not about me. I can do the best. That's great. You're still going to lose.
Yeah.
You're still going to lose.
Right.
Right? Like last year, you had Amanda, you had me, the two best in the league.
Yes.
And we couldn't win. We did win, but we couldn't win the whole season. You have to have a team. That's how it works. You have to have the team surrounding you, and you build them up to be the best that they need to be at those things. That's how you win. And that makes those athletes even better.
Yeah. Yep.
So what you're saying is people should sign up.
Well, I mean, if you want to be the best, probably.
Again, this is like tooting our own horn, but I think we have the best all-around coaches in the market right now. We don't specialize in any one thing, but we can get you really fucking good at anything you wanna have an endeavor in, and that goes to Pat's barbell program as well.
Yeah. If you want to increase your ceiling for weightlifting, or you want to compete weightlifting, or want to clear ladders, there's no better program or coach to go with than
If
me,
you have
me or Griffin, or
you literally struggle in lifting for
Like-
grid and need ladders, hit on dissident, or you need like one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
Like,
for anything. Like everybody needs a coach.
Yeah.
and
If you want to,
If you have
great.
if you have a goal, you need a
if you
coach.
want to get anywhere, you have to have a coach.
Yeah.
Man.
And I mean, again, to like then backtrack on this is like, there are other great coaches out there.
Yeah.
But we're doing a really great job.
Yes.
And we can keep doing better. And every athlete is another opportunity for us to get better
Right.
at what we do.
Right.
Right. And it's an opportunity because we get to invest in those people. We care about the people. When anyone comes to us and they have goals, those goals become our goals. Right. Because they represent us, and those people like are human beings that we want to see them achieve those goals.
Right.
And that's why, like, ultimately we all want to see other people do really well. We're not here about how good can we be. Like, yeah, that's important, but we want to also make sure that they accomplish those goals.
Yeah. I mean, the weekly program for Dissident Barbell, the first 12-week cycle, there's there's 8 people on there originally who did the full 12 weeks, and some people who even came in like
halfway through.
halfway
almost,
through.
yeah.
Everybody PR
Literally.
and not new people.
Yeah,
not
like
new.
like literally everybody PR'd,
Everyone
and
PR'd.
everybody PR'd at like everything they were doing on that cycle.
Everything.
Interesting.
Everyone PR'd freaking everything. And now, just like 3 weeks into the new cycle, people are enjoying it. It's a lot different than
The other part is
Cycle
people are
one.
enjoying it, too.
Yeah,
It's
and-
not like, oh, I got to do this and die. Like, you're enjoying it.
right, or it's just repetitive and boring
Yeah.
because it's like that's just
Some of it is.
how it has to be.
Yeah.
As a coach of a team who received many of your guys' athletes, if you will, athletes, yours included, I would like for people to sign up for the blacklisted programming stuff so I can get better people.
Well, and
Continue to get
the other
better
thing
people,
is
but-
like outside of that, we can help build on top of that, making the grid league itself even more competitive
Mhm.
for all teams.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll say this, like I know we have to wrap up, is that those matches all weekend were the best matches I think Grid's ever put together
100%.
because of talent level against talent level.
Yep.
Yeah.
The races, like I know, like in the Sharks, it was close. Like that Aces match,
Yeah.
that just like
That was fucking
That
gauntlet.
was pretty
score
close.
was 13-12.
Yeah, that was pretty close to old.
I've
Grid,
never
honestly.
ever seen a team catch another team on the flipper ever. In my
Yeah, that was
entire
sick.
life.
That was sick. That was sick.
Yeah.
I mean, I think too, like it is like there's going to be more talent attracted to the sport after this year. I mean,
good.
they're already extending the league out, and we can provide those athletes that are looking to get into the league and or are in the league the opportunity to be really good in the league.
And I will say, like, if you are in the league and you're kind of like riding the line as far as leveling up and being where the grid league was, because there's a lot of people who are still in there who are leftovers. There's new people who are going to come in to replace you who are better than you.
Yeah.
As this thing grows, because it's leveling up, it's always moving. We're getting new people.
Right.
We're getting more elite people. So you need to level up.
Yeah.
Yep.
You need to become an elite person if you're not.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you need to get a good coach and level up, or you're going to your spot on your team is going to be not
And
yours.
To use an example is Fittest of the Coast this year is becoming a much bigger competition, and I think people were kind of slapped in the face with how hard it was to qualify this year versus last year. The exact same thing is going to happen to Grid this next season, and like you have 6 months now to get ready for that.
Less than that.
Less than that. So
And I will inform later.
yeah,
I
okay,
cannot inform you.
yeah. So, if you guys are looking for help, we can definitely help you guys out.
Let's
so
do it.
all right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for coming on, guys. And we'll catch everybody next time.
See ya.